Okay. Good evening, everybody. We're here for 11th Ward Community Zoning Meeting. We're here to discuss 810 West 31st Street. We have with us here this evening, Mr. Moore, Thomas Moore, who represents the tenant, or actually the owner of the
Operation, the business.
business, the operation. It's like, I was just there. It's the Valvoline Oil Change. I'll let Mr. Moore explain why the zoning change request has been submitted and why it's needed. It is currently zone B1. They're looking for B3 at this point. So with that, I will hand it over to Mr. Moore. I'm going to share my screen because he's got a few pictures and things that we can take a look at as well.
Well, thank you very much, Alderman. We appreciate your willingness to host this meeting and to take your time to let us explain our problem. This particular oil change place has been there since the 1980s, and it was properly permitted and properly zoned at the time it was built. Sometime in between, it was down zoned from a B3 down to a B1. And the problem is that to operate one of these, it's supposed to be a B3. If it was legally established, it could continue to operate. But what happened here is when Valvoline bought it from
The previous owner,
Jiffy Lube. Jiffy Lube, that's right. The corporate people made all the financial arrangements, but it turns out that the prior owner, the Jiffy Lube, had not renewed their license at the time, and you only have 18 months before your legal non-conforming, your grandfathering is the common way to call it, lapses, and that's what happened here. Their license lapsed because the prior owner had not renewed the license. It was already 2 years, so
they had already been operating in here.
Right, yes. The business never stopped operating.
Mhm.
The same workers kept working there. The same manager kept managing it at the time. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change. But right now, they're not licensed by the city, and they want to be a proper business and properly licensed. And so if we are able, if you would consent to it, and the community is willing to let us move from a B1 to a B3, we can submit a new license and comply with all of the city's requirements and live happily ever after. And we have the manager here, and he can tell us, but Jose Edgar is the local manager. We also have the regional manager, Edgar, and I think there's about 16 families who make their living here. And so we want to keep them all working, and we'd like to keep them all employed. And so we're asking for your help to change the zoning.
Great. So just to recap, no physical changes.
No.
This is all more of an administrative need for the zoning change because the license lapsed.
That's exactly right.
It was outside the 18-month window to be grandfathered in. So
you said it better than me.
Okay. You can pay. No, I'm just we'll be here all week, folks. So this seems like a pretty straightforward thing. Thank you, Edgar and the staff for being here. Like I said, I was just there getting my oil changed. Literally, this is the only place I get my oil changed, actually, in the neighborhood when it was Jiffy Lube, and obviously now that it's Valvoline. Are there questions from anybody? And I know we've got several people on the joining us remotely as well. If you've got a question at this point, I'm happy for you to come off of mute and ask your question, or if you want to use the raise your hand function. We do have the management team here, the owner of the property, to answer any questions or concerns you might have while we have them here. Don't all raise to ask questions at once. No?
Tom.
Do you have no questions?
But I think this is a I have no objection. They just, transferring business
Yeah,
licenses.
yeah, we,
Yeah.
we want them to be able to continue to operate, they're,
And
yeah. Um,
I have a question.
I'm sorry, who's this?
This is Claire.
Claire?
I'm one of the Zooms. Yeah.
Yes,
You said this is strictly a paperwork change from B1 to B3, so there's no physical
no
changes to the
physical changes,
property.
correct.
Does that open it up? It being a B3, would that open up to future physical changes in the property?
Actually, in zoning, the first number, so it's B3, I think, 1 or 2, whatever it is. The first number has to do with use,
Mhm.
with what
Mm.
businesses are allowed. The second number has to do with size. So there'll be no change in the second number,
Which is
so.
a 1, right?
I think it's a 1, yeah. And so, it will remain as it is. But the B3 will allow this use, which the B1 does not.
Yeah, so, and I think that maybe more to your question, Claire, the -1 means it keeps it as a 1 story, if I'm
That's
not
right.
mistaken, so anything. If anybody else, if at some point the Valvoline operation is not there anymore and they want to sell the property, and somebody else wants to come in, unless they're gonna build something identical to this, like a 1 story, then they would have to come in for another zoning change. For anything bigger than a 1 story, but technically speaking, at a B3-1, whatever eligible uses are available in that B3, they could potentially build and open a business on that site.
Which
So
are basically all the standard retail uses.
restaurant, dental office, retail shop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, B is a business district designation. Does that answer your question?
Okay. I think so. Yeah. I didn't know if like in a year Valvoline would be like, okay, we're going to tear this down and do something new since we have this new designation. But I think that answers the question. Thank you.
Yeah, well, they're not asking for anything bigger than that, because that's not what they need to operate.
Right.
And I will tell you that anything new going in there, like if this were to stop operating as an oil change location, whoever comes in next would have to do environmental remediation, before they could build anything. That has nothing to do with zoning. That has everything to do with what the current operation is there. And likely the need to remediate the land before anything could be built on top of it.
And the alderman's office will know about it.
Yeah.
And if there was some need to, the alderman has the right to.
I could downzone it, yeah. This.
Okay.
this
Okay.
is-
That answers the question. Thank you. Yeah.
This is primarily to just ensure that they can legally operate and conform, with the laws and the licensing requirements. Any other questions from folks in the room or on the Zoom? Appreciate your question, Claire. It'll be my easiest meeting all night long. Okay. If there are no more questions, I will just say, I'm happy to support
Okay.
the zoning change so that we can get everything appropriately done. We'll have, Zoe can get you that letter next week.
Great,
So,
thank you.
yeah. So I don't see any reason not to approve this. This is pretty standard sort of thing, so I'm happy to provide that recommendation and support for decision tonight. So I think that's it. We have our next zoning community meeting, I believe at 6 o'clock for another property. So if you want to spend a little bit more time with us, you can come back. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you.